I wanted to talk about the stigma around being a stoner or a daily user. You know, like I have a real problem with the fact that on social media, just altogether, you know, if let's say Joe Schmo has got pictures of him drinking on a boat or at a bar, hanging out, chugging alcohol, chugging tequila, right? That's totally fine to have on your Facebook page. But Joe Schmo, if he was trying to get a government job or I'm sure any type of corporate job, if he were to have a picture of himself smoking a joint on his Facebook page, he probably would never get the job, or he would just never have that picture on his Facebook page because he wants to get the job.
Yeah.
And that there's a problem with that. There really is. I mean, it's got to go both ways. I mean, I remember when I started my MySpace page, like 10 years ago, whatever that was. This girl wrote me a message, a real long, heartfelt message saying, you know, your MySpace is a little bit too marijuana centric. You should really watch out. Like, it just isn't cool to say that.
Was it a friend?
It was like a friend of a friend. It was this girl, whatever. But it pissed me off. I was just like, no, F you. Like, I'm not that. Whatever. That's the problem. Like, you can't drive 3 blocks, you know, in a city without going by a liquor store or a bar. You know, and so it's just everywhere. But the fact that smoking a joint or even publicizing that you like to smoke marijuana it's going to prevent you from getting a job. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit.
I mean, you're totally right. I mean, you obviously know that I work for a very cool, probably one of the coolest companies in the world right now.
Mm.
And I've even had people ask me at work saying, you know, why, you know, you're very open about cannabis and the fact that you use it and eat it and all this stuff, and aren't you worried? And I always say, no, like if I'm not going to be able to admit that at a place where I work, like it's probably not the kind of place I want to spend my life. And I think that there's more fear than what there really is reality. Kind of like when we were growing up, we didn't realize that all of our friends' parents smoked weed, or many of them smoked weed. It was kind of like
because it's
so underground. But I think when you come out, people actually are like, yeah, no big deal. Like I haven't seen people get fired for talking about smoking weed or their boss knowing they're smoking weed. And if you do, you know, for most people, I think it's probably not the worst thing in the world.
No, I mean, I have a philosophy. If somebody's going to have a problem with it, like, forget them. Who cares? You know, that's not the type of person I need to be associated with.
Well,
if they're so shallow or
weed,
so
right?
narrow-minded, what?
Their problem's not the weed, right? In that case, their problem is they're probably a control freak or there's something else going on. It's not
whatever it
the
is.
issue's the actual weed.
I mean, it goes into, it's like, you know, like homosexuals being able to get married. Who has the balls to say, I'm telling you what you can't do? It goes the same way with smoking marijuana. You know, I mean, I don't know where the line stops, what drugs should be allowed and shouldn't be allowed. It's another conversation. But nobody has the right to tell somebody what they can't do if it's not hurting somebody else.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, at least that's how I feel about it. If people have a problem with smoking marijuana, we shouldn't be hanging out with them. That's almost like a narrow-minded thing to say too. But if I meet somebody, I mean, when we launched Meister, right, and I started just publicizing, everybody knows, you know, we're making smoking accessories. Davis is a very hot at it, whatever. I didn't get any negative responses. Maybe I got some people unfollowing me and I didn't even notice it, whatever. But I got hit up by a bunch of older people, older clients through my other businesses, older friends, like, oh, I didn't even know you were into this. Let's hang out. You know, it's mainstream. Whether or not people realize it, like, it's mainstream everywhere. I don't know. It's been a while since I've met somebody that has a problem with marijuana use. I mean, have you? Have you talked to somebody that's like off-put by it when you?
I'd say not really off-put by it, but you can see some people have a slight level of uncomfortableness where it's probably more just an education thing than anything. I mean, I know some older people who are smart, you know, 50 plus, and they're progressive and they're smart, but they still have that attitude about marijuana. Oh, it's illegal, and it's just difficult for them to grasp the concept that this really isn't a negative thing that they were inundated with in the 80s with just say no commercials and things like that. So
I think it's important. I mean, what we're going to try and do with Lift a View and this whole movement is that we're going to really try and contribute to it spreading and becoming more accepted and mainstream altogether. But I mean, I'll tell you the truth, I don't think, you know, even without our help, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I mean, I think everybody feels it. You know, everybody You see polls every couple of days of people, you know, this percentage of the country feels that marijuana should be recreational legal, and I think it's just a matter of time.
Well, in the past too, so much of the stuff that you saw, so many of the pictures were like giant weed leaves, and they were very, you know, Bob Marley focused, Rastafarian, hippie. There's all these associations with it. I think now for the first time we're getting into more of like the medical side, and things are more buttoned up and polished, and the content that's out there is nicer, and the accessories are nicer. So I think we're moving away from some of those stereotypes just for that alone. It's looking more commercially viable, which just is obviously going to bring in a huge audience instead of just sitting on the fringes with, you know, the really hippie folks, the really, you know.
No, it's, I mean,
rappers
even what I mentioned with the older people contacting me when they found out what I was doing. I mean, these were lawyers, doctors. You know, it's not just for the hippie teenager.
Well, it makes sense. Those are the people who are the most educated, most access to the internet, so they're probably going to be the ones that are going to come out of the weed closet, the proverbial weed closet first, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be a low educated person in rural America. So, yeah, it's good, man. Let's keep it moving.
Keep it moving. All right, that's it. All right.
Oyster Metaverse.